Okay. Do you guys know I wrote a whole book on interviewing? Okay. I'm going to give you the most, pound for pound, best tip ever on storytelling right now. This card. You do this. You don't have to watch any of my other interview videos. You don't have to take any interview courses. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to go watch any other coaches. If you just do what I'm going to show you on this card, pound for pound, this is the best interview tip you will ever get. But first I want to take a sip of this coffee. It's kind of like right after the commercial. Okay. You know how I tell you there's basically 3 formats to interview questions? There's the behavioral interview questions. Tell me about a time when. Well, tell me about a challenge you overcome. Blah, 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 blah. And then there's project-specific questions. Andy, that's a great looking project right there. Can you walk me through how you did that? And you just tell them how you did something you did. And then there's those situational questions where it's like, hey, we got this project and we want you to build this thing. Could you tell us how you would do that? Those kind of 3 things. All right, forget all that for a second. Those are basically the formats. Forget all the techniques you heard. When you do the first 3 things that I just said, here's all you need to worry about when you go into an interview. There's 3 things you got to remember. 3. It's so simple. Take a picture of the card. When you're going to tell a story, you're going to be telling a lot of stories that are very specific. Context is king and queen and checkmate. Because once they understand why you did what you did, and you tell them how you did what you did, with all the parameters racked together, you're going to get hired. And here's what I mean exactly. Here's what a lot of you do. Hey, Susie, I see you built this thing over here and you saved a bunch of money for your company. It looks like a great bullet. Yeah, because my coach Andy told me how to write resume bullets. Great. Can you tell me how you did that? And here's what a lot of you want to do. Okay, the first thing is I started to do this and I did step 1. And then I did step 2. And then I did step 3. And now the person here is just trying to listen, has no idea where you are in your story. You could be rambling, you might not be rambling. When instead what I'd rather you say is, this only takes 20 seconds, is give them context. Why was I even doing that in the first place? Okay, why was I doing that in the first place? That project, I'm so glad you asked. Actually, what was happening was we had this customer experience system. It was used for support, and people would call us, and the customer reps couldn't find what they needed, and it was taking too long to answer the questions, and people were on hold too long. So we were losing a large 10% of our customers every month. It was costing us $1 million a month. I don't know how long it took me to say that. Okay, whoa. Sounds like a big problem. Right, so they had to call me in to evaluate what the issue was and build them a system and a process that fixed that. Okay, now they know you're a badass, okay? Oh, that's great. So, because it was an IT project, but we had to engineer some of the processes, I did the 7 things you would do for any large-scale IT project. I got with the stakeholders. I asked them, we discovered what the issues were. Once I had that, we built the requirements, then we designed it, then we architected it, then we built it, then we tested it, and then we put it into place. So the first thing that I did was, and then you walk them through your steps. Why? Because you came with a playbook. Every single thing you've ever done in your life can be reverse engineered into a methodology, a framework, a playbook, a system, a step-by-step. And employers love step-by-step. Why? You come with the outline. You come with the playbook. They pay more for systems as opposed to point solutions. It sounds like you had a system. You walk them through your system. They know you're organized. They know where you are in the story. Then what? You're done with that, and then guess what happened? 6 months later, we turned on the new system, and all of a sudden, month over month, we started retaining our customers back to where it leveled off after 6 months, and we were only losing 2% of our customers, which is natural attrition because. So I ended up getting back 900,000, 800,000 of the whatever. The outcome, right? And the bennies. This is it. Do not forget the context. This is what gives you heft. It gives you the gravitas. This is what gets them excited that what is about to follow really mattered. Because a lot of people do a lot of stuff that doesn't mean anything, that doesn't really change the world, that doesn't really change and benefit their companies, their customers, or whatever. So all you need to do, what was the context? Why did it matter? Tell me the system that you went through, and then tell me what happened. That's it. This is it. It's the simplest thing to ever remember. Now, let me throw one little bonus tip in here on the interviewing part. The best way to prepare for that is they're going to ask me about these bullets because they're so awesome. But I'm going to be ready for the behavioral interviewing questions that are inside the project-specific question, because that's what the best damn interviewers do. Why do they do that? Here's what a bad interviewer does. Hey, Susie, tell me about a challenge you overcame. Then Susie is left racking her brain, fishing around for some challenge that means something in their world. And the odds of you choosing the right one are almost nil. But the best interviewer says, Susie, walk me through that process right there. What did you do? And then as you're going through it, when you're in about step 2 or step 3, the interviewer will interrupt you and say, what was the biggest challenge you faced when you were corralling the stakeholders? Bang. Behavioral interview inside the context of something that matters to me, and you know it's of interest to me because I asked you to explain it to me. That's the best interviewer does that, right? So what do you prepare? You prepare all those silly behavioral interview questions inside your project-specific responses. You will never be surprised. You will never be thrown off guard, okay? But why would you want to prep this way? Because you talked about and made what was most important, most visible. And that's the thing I care most about. And that's why I want to talk about that resume bullet and not ask you questions all over the place like, tell me how you organize stuff and tell me how you overcome challenges and tell me about a problem you solved, because I don't care about that. I want to talk about the specific problems that I know matter to me as an interviewer.